great admirer of Reverend Pimcrisp. Gervase K., the nephew. He does not like his aunt any more than she likes him. Mercy Tennyson, young, beautiful, and seeing a good deal of Lord Stodmarsh. Dr. Chester, local GP. Mrs. Chester, his wife, a former nurse. Dick Saunders, the butcher's son, helps out at the Dog and Whistle and is very taken with Sally Barton. Alf Thatcher, postman and George's closest friend. Major Wainwright, bluff and hearty, enjoys an evening at the Dog and Whistle. Miss Milligan, breeder of boxer dogs. Lord Asprey, Reverend Pimcrisp's cousin and benefactor. Mary Thomas, worked with Sophie at the estate agency. Mr. and Mrs. Ewing, agency owners. Grummage, butler at Mullings. Molly, his wife, head housemaid. Plan is for her to take over as housekeeper when Florence leaves to get married. Winnie, kitchen maid, has a habit of interrupting conversations between Florence and Mrs. MacDonald. Dr. Maitland, Uncle Henry's doctor. Mr. Kent, Uncle Henry's solicitor. Mr. and Mrs. North, verger and wife. Fred Schilling, gravedigger. Jeremiah Rudge, his predecessor, husband and father of Tim and Anne. Rupert Trout, schoolboy son of Constable and Elsie Trout. Young Mrs. Barton, one of Sally's sisters-in-law, is a waitress at the Spinning Wheel Cafe. Chapter 1. 20 years ago today, I buried my sister, said the stranger standing at the bar of the Dog and Whistle in the village of Dovecote Hatch.
Sorry to hear that, sir.
The landlord, George Bird, known to his regulars as Birdie, was an affable, balding man of above 6 foot and expansive girth. He wore his 50-odd years comfortably in the manner of a pair of well-stretched shoes. Having worked in pubs since he was a lad, several of them in the seedier neighbourhoods of London, he'd been made privy over time to a wide range of personal information. There'd been chilling disclosures from little old ladies you'd think wouldn't swat a fly, and tales of domestic bliss coming from men who looked as though they'd just strangled someone for the amusement of it. All attentively heard out and engaged upon with genuine interest, but taken in his stride, aware that oftentimes it did to keep a container of salt at hand. Ridiculous, therefore, the evocation, wrought from the words, "I buried my sister," of a furtive figure hunched over a spade, a mound of earth to the side, and a woman's corpse swathed as if for decency's sake in the gauze of time. George hoped this lapse hadn't shown on his face. He repeated his proffer of sympathy. No answer from the stranger. His empty gaze suggested he'd retreated inside himself and closed the door. Was he even aware he'd spoken? George picked up a white cloth and needlessly buffed a glass, waiting as though he had all the time in the world to listen, which was in fact the case that evening.
Such anniversaries can be hard. Help to talk about it?
Still no response. Nothing stirring on that parchment-pale, hollowed-out face. Could hear dust settle, thought George. Only the two were present in what the locals still called the tap room, despite this being 1933, not back in the 17th century when the pub had been a coaching inn. Although a stark way of putting it, George mused, the man's choice of phrase was common enough in referencing a funeral. Must be his intonation that had stirred up that grim image, suggesting he'd spoken literally. The words had been uttered softly, almost in a whisper, accompanied